we have more on Seven Group's full year numbers, and I'm pleased to welcome back to the show Ryan Stokes, Seven Group Managing Director, live via Skype. Good afternoon, I should say, Ryan.
Thanks, Danielle. Good afternoon.
Congratulations, excellent results. You must be very pleased.
It's a good result for the group, and yeah, we're very happy to kind of deliver above guidance for EBIT result this year.
Absolutely. So there's a couple of weaknesses there, which you've got in the likes of the media operations and beach, but let's focus on the positive parts of the business. And maybe you can just run us through in terms of Westrac and Coates, because it looks like those businesses are really firing off the back of all the mining and infrastructure that is going on at the moment in Australia.
Yeah, correct. And for us, pleased this year, Industrial Services has delivered a kind of a more than $1 billion EBIT result, so it's a key milestone. The drivers we've looked to position the group toward is that mining production, infrastructure and construction and energy, and we still feel very confident about those, and our industrial services business play into those kind of core production activity in the mining sector, and Coates as well around the infrastructure and construction. Boral's results have been a pleasing outcome too. So across the board, see that growth across the industrials has been pleasing, and year-on-year EBIT growth of 20%, and despite those kind of other headwind attributes, which I think just reinforces the strength of the portfolio.
Indeed. How is it looking forward going ahead? Are you expecting to see demand being maintained? You did have quite an optimistic outlook statement, and as someone pointed out, we've been a little bit short on the ground this reporting season in terms of optimistic statements. So maybe you can flesh out for us how you see demand continuing to be so robust.
Look, yeah, we put our guidance out there, or our FY24 guidance of a growth of high single-digit EBIT growth for group, and for our industrial services business, high single to low double-digit growth. So we're probably one of the few groups to put guidance out there that's clear, but it just reinforces the confidence we have in the outlook of around activity, as well as our ability to capitalise on that and supporting our customers, that we are confident to deliver that growth. July for us was reinforcing a positive attribute. We see the mining cycle moving into what's probably a long duration cycle, and certainly investment as well as the just ongoing kind of maintenance required to support the volumes of production. So that's going to play through strongly for Westrac, and it is a lot on the infrastructure and construction, and even announcements around the housing supply solution, I think, will play to support the outlook for Coates and Boral. So from a group perspective, we have sought to orientate the portfolio towards those growth sectors, and I think today that's just further reinforced with that outlook we put for FY24.
Indeed, the benefits of being a conglomerate, I would say. Having a look at Boral, so a great turnaround story there. There've been divestments, etc. So where is the focus going forward for Boral?
Yeah, there's more work to be done on that journey. I think credit to the team and leadership there that they've done a great job in refocusing the portfolio back to Australia. And really then kind of capitalising on the opportunity. So we see continuation of that into this financial year, and that's going to restore Boral back to the performance it's been able to deliver, or on delivering on that potential performance, and playing into construction materials, the strength it's got across its integrated portfolio of assets, and so further work on how we can better support customers, look at how we can optimise the cost structure within Boral. It's going to be ongoing work in the year ahead, and we think it'll should deliver positive growth. And that, again, another very clear guidance point of 270 to 300 million EBIT for the year ahead, and we feel confident the business will be able to deliver on that.
Indeed. Now, there's so much media around the shortage of housing here in Australia. We've got record immigration levels. Can you remind everyone of broadly the split in terms of Boral's exposure towards housing versus roads infrastructure? Because I must admit that number, I used to look at it many years ago as a Boral analyst, but that's far too many years to remember.
Look, it's probably on the residential side, it's probably about 20% of the portfolio today. So there's still a lot that's kind of Boral's business is quite spread across a number of different attributes in the traditional infrastructure, the roads, building construction, and the kind of detached housing, multi-dwelling housing. So it's going to be an incremental growth that will, on the back of what's already a very strong infrastructure and construction market. So we look at that Infrastructure Australia report where they talk to 1.2 trillion of committed projects over the next 5 years, and that just reinforces that opportunity. Elements around the supply solution for housing are yet to be factored into that. So, it just reinforces that as we look at the solution of growing population requirement to get affordable housing, it's a supply response that's needed, and so that's kind of a welcomed policy announcement.
Indeed. And let's touch on media, which of course, much more challenging environment there. I saw in the US that people are still cutting the cord on linear TV. That's a trend over there. But maybe you can touch on Seven West Media, how the strategic direction of the group, where you're spending money, where you want to try and grow earnings in what is quite a challenging environment for traditional media.
Yeah, I think that draw slightly different parallels to the US, where most of the connectivity to television is via cable versus traditional free-to-air, where a majority of Australian households consume free-to-air by the traditional signal. So we still feel that the offering to reach consumers is strong, our audience is strong, and as demonstrated kind of the last week with the Matilda's kind of exposure. I mean, the record audiences are there, and people still engage with TV when it's compelling content, and the choice has increased. But I think what that's done, and it's happening across all forms of media. So when you think about advertisers wanting to reach scale audiences, free-to-air still represents the largest scale audience. It's just for free-to-air and for Seven, the move now and focus is really on how we maximise the opportunity across different platforms, particularly digital, and that digital audience has continued to grow. Our offering in broadcast video on demand continues to expand, and that digital result, I think it's 137 million EBIT for the year in digital, just highlights the size of digital business we're creating within Seven. I think that's one of the great strengths. Wanting to be a leader across the core news, entertainment, sport environments that connect audiences, irrespective of whether it's linear, whether it's catch up, whether it's just traditional kind of digital kind of video on demand. So they're the elements where the team are very focused on how we can maximise the opportunity for Seven.
Fantastic, Ryan. Well, first of all, congratulations, excellent results on a down day in the market. Shareholders are very pleased, obviously, with these results. So thank you so much for joining ausbiz yet again.
Yeah, thank you very much. Appreciate your time.
Okay. Well, dare I say, stock of the day is Seven Group, and Seven Group's revenue jumped 20% on earnings of $1.2 billion, with Westrac earnings up 18%. Coates earnings up 22% and Boral's earnings up 117%. Activity in the resources, infrastructure and construction sectors are being credited for the result. And obviously, on the outlook, Seven Group says earnings momentum is strong, with the segment outlook supporting group guidance of high single-digit EBIT growth. And unfortunately, my two expert guests couldn't hear the interview. So we're going to have a lovely, unbiased assessment, aren't we there, gentlemen? So Philip, Seven Group.
Depends, can he hear us?
No, I don't think he's on anymore.
Look, as you said, it was a good result, so I'm going to call it a buy. We like parts of the market that they're exposed to, so the Westrac business, the Coates business, the Boral business, all in sectors with strong expenditure ahead of them. So these aren't sectors, infrastructure spending, replacing equipment, parts of building, don't seem to be slowing. Even Boral seem, with their result, have put some price increases through. So Seven Group is exposed to some pretty, not defensive but growing sectors, so we like the space. Some weaknesses in media, expect media to continue to be weak despite all the eyeballs from last night's television viewing and what live sport brings to companies like Seven Group. We think that's a headwind, as is the other part of the business that was down as well, energy.
Yeah.
But they gave a pretty positive outlook statement. So the result was a beat. The outlook was around about consensus, top end of consensus. I suspect one of the minority companies to put out a reasonably bullish outlook statement in current conditions. So I think worth a look. I think it's up a little bit today, so I'm going to call it a buy.
Fantastic. Josh, what do you think?
Yeah, I'd be happy to hold. As you mentioned, it's a conglomerate, and I guess diving into what is within the company, their sectors that we are favourable towards, even I guess the sort of media exposure. It's a very small part of their business these days. So in the latest note today, the media part only made up about 5% of their earnings, whereas Boral alone made up closer to 20% of its earnings. Obviously, increasing by 120% always helps out that split. So, yeah, definitely happy to be exposed. We do like the building and construction sector here in Australia with those sort of pressures on the housing market. So, yeah, definitely be happy to hold Seven Group.
Fair enough. Okay. Well, there we go. We've had quite a fabulous wrap today of Seven Group.